Can say everything and I feel so comfortable.
We talk about the fact that parenting is a hard job, and as with any job, you need to have strategies to help you do that job well.
With Baby U, I was given tools. I was given that toolbox, hey, with the different tools in there.
Welcome to another edition of Cambridge InsideOut, the sequel. My name is Susanna Sagat, and
I'm Robert Winters.
And today we're here on a special CCTV marathon Saturday. We're going to be here from 1:30 until 2:30, two different shows, and we're live. And it's call in if you have questions, and we also have the ability to have people come by and talk to us. And right now we have in front of us someone running for school committee, and so while I introduce him, Robert will go get him. Hold on, let me just put him on here.
There we go.
Okay, here we have a guest, special guest. We're so happy to have him.
Okay.
He's Elechi Kadete, I think. I'm going to have him pronounce it right. I see his name all over the place. And
right.
let's see the magic of technology.
We're
Oh
good?
my gosh, here he is.
We've got three of us now. Okay.
Excellent. So tell us your name, tell us what you're doing here.
My name is Elechi Kadete, and I am running for Cambridge School Committee. And I just came here to have a conversation with you two and the people of Cambridge.
All right. By the way, we seem so much taller than you. I think that's more to do with
It's
the
the chair.
chairs.
Yeah, push the chair up.
No, we're good. We're good. Okay.
Lift it from the side handle there.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Yeah, okay, much better.
Even
Much
better.
more even.
All righty.
I
So-
think that was my job. I'm the technology
Oh,
expert
really?
here.
All right. All right. So, Elechi, tell us a thing or two about yourself and why you decided to jump in the pool, as it were.
Well, about me, I've lived in Cambridge for over 15 years now. But I wasn't originally born here. I was born in Tanzania, East Africa. And I'm running for Cambridge School Committee because, for a few reasons. First of all, with the amount of money we spend per pupil, about $22,000 per student, we should be getting better results, and we can do that. And second of all, I'm a recent graduate. I have new ideas and perspectives.
A graduate of what?
I'm a graduate of where?
Yeah.
I went to Brandeis University where I studied business. I majored in business and minored in politics.
Fantastic.
And I feel like being a recent graduate, I'm in touch with the students of Cambridge and the community. And also, I went through the Cambridge public school system, and I know how it operates. And third reason is I want to bring a new energy and spirit to the school committee.
I feel it already. So what's your campaign like?
Oh, with experience?
I mean, how are you going to get the votes? What are you doing?
Well.
Don't tell us trade secrets, though.
Okay,
Because
well.
people are actually
Right.
watching here.
Don't give the game away. Yeah.
Well, what I'm doing to get my campaign message across is basically I've been responding to people who want to meet like you, want to bring me on shows to interview. A few minutes ago, I was standing in Porter Square, handing out my information.
Right.
I have campaign signs up, and I'm attending forums, and I have a Facebook, a Twitter account.
Have there been school committee forums yet?
No, the first one is next Friday at the Maynard Fletcher.
Oh, that's the like-minded parents
Yep.
group? Yeah, okay.
Let me just interrupt for 1 second. So we are live, and we are taking phone calls. If you have any questions to ask any of our guests, 617-876-0055 is our phone number. 876-0055. Okay,
All
go
right.
ahead.
Okay, what's the question?
No, I mean, it's funny. You mentioned Porter Square. I should just bicycle through Porter
Oh,
Square
okay.
earlier. Yeah, I think I saw the it was the Denise Simmons
Denise
crowd
Simmons, yeah.
out there, right? Okay, right. It's funny. In campaign season, it's you almost get to know all the little territories after a while here. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Is that really true that the per pupil expenditure in Cambridge Public Schools is around $22,000?
Well, I say that number with great confidence because I recently had a meeting with the superintendent.
Okay.
And that's the number he gave me, and I'm very, I'm going to take it as 22,000.
Yeah, I've always found that kind of confusing because you hear people, people they either speak it as a point of pride, they say we're so well funded, or a point of horror, we spend too much and whatever, and where are the results? But whenever you see the particulars about it, like elementary school programs versus high school programs, whatever, it's not like it's uniformly you're spending the same amount on every child, right? I mean, it's some of the students have very high costs, some have very low cost. And, you know, some schools are much more expensive than others to maintain.
And also I would say, this is just a point I have, like in terms of the budget, is we have so many programs, it's sort of like spray and pray that certain programs work, where I think we should look at the budget and really focus on certain particular programs, for example, early childhood education, professional development for our teachers, and things like that, family involvement.
Now that early childhood education piece of the puzzle, is that kind of what they've been talking about lately? They had some roundtable meeting just the other week about, or was that just extended day? No, I think they were talking about having some program for 4-year-olds.
That program was actually about, the one I went to at City Hall, the talk was about universal junior kindergarten.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that the same thing as the early childhood education?
That's early childhood, that's pre-K.
Okay.
You know?
All right. I mean, I don't know how early is early. Anyway, you know, I'll be teaching math to 2-year-olds.
Okay.
Well, up until 3, I think it's after 3 the schools are responsible, or at least it used to be that way.
Is that right? Oh.
So what I find interesting about I found everything interesting about what you said, but what I wanted to just talk to about just now is you're a recent high school graduate.
No, college graduate.
No, I know, but within the last 10 years, you graduated from high school.
Sorry about that.
Compared to our
Compared to us.
it's a blink of an eye.
And so you have a good sense of what students feel is going well, what students feel could be improved. You have a better sense than most of the other candidates.
You're our inside man.
So any insights you can share with us now?
Yeah, actually, I've talked to for example, a few high school representatives.
Yeah.
4 students or 5 students who represent each school in the high school.
Oh, good.
And one thing they said to me that was very needed attention. They said that they reached out and tried to talk with the current school committee, and the communication there was it was hard. They felt like their voices weren't being heard.
Well, they can't vote yet.
Oh yeah.
Robert, that's so jaded.
I know.
No, not to say anything against the current school committee. I have respect for everyone on there. It's just
I know.
They were just like, you know, we try to talk to them, but it's so hard. We feel like they're not listening to us, and they're making decisions without our input.
Well, how did you do that? How did you go talk to them?
How
did they find you?
Actually, I gave a speech at the Frisoli Center to a basketball function where a guy brings in 40 students to play basketball, and he let me speak in front of them for 5 minutes before he got the tryout started.
Yeah.
So say you win.
Okay.
How are you going to make sure that you still get information from your constituents?
Well, one thing about me is I think I'm very personable. I enjoy working with people, and I'll have an open door policy. You can email me, you can call me, and I'll do my best to reach back, because I know there's going to be a lot of phone calls coming, especially from concerned parents.
Sure.
Oh yeah, school committee's really tough.
Exactly.
Everyone thinks that they can get to you really easily.
Exactly. Well, I'll try
You have very good access. It's important.
I've heard it said by some that you know, the real hardest job is not even city council, it's the school committee members.
I've heard that too.
They're always being inundated by, you know, either suggestions or complaints, or please do this for me and do that for me.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, you're federal senator. Who do you even think of calling them? It's like they're totally out of your mind. Your congressman. How often do you call them? You know, no one pays any attention to them. And then you're the state government. You're going to call the governor if you're upset? Most people don't. So, you know, but your kids, you deal with them every single day, and you're going to make that call. So the one call where people really know the politician is school committee.
Yeah, and the passions that you see as school committee members.
Oh, they're real.
Tend to exceed just about anything that I've ever really seen up at City Hall.
And they're willing to spend time on it too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So good luck.
Thank you.
Right.
So you want to tell the people of Cambridge, oh, by the way, call in 617-876-0055. You want to tell them why they should vote for you before you go out and campaign some more?
Well, people of Cambridge, you should vote for me because I went through the school system, and again, I know how it operates, and I'm a perfect example of what it can produce when it functions properly and meets the need of each student. And it worked for me, and it can work for other students. And I'm just here to ask for your #1 vote on November 5th, and that's it.
Okay, so tell, most important, they need to know your name.
Elechi Kadete.
And how they can reach you.
My name is Elechi Kadete, and you can reach me at, actually, I have a email. You can find me on the Robert Winters website if you go there.
Yeah, that's right. The purpose of the candidate pages is like one-stop shopping. You go there, whatever they send, we put it up there, and you can contact everybody through that.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, we love having you. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming today. So where are you going off to next?
I am going to get some coffee and then go do some more campaigning somewhere.
Excellent. Well,
Sounds
thank you so
great.
much. I'm going to show the people your webpage, or they can. Is this your email address?
Yep, that's it.
So you can email him at and how you spell it is EKADETE at brandeis.edu.
Hey, Brandeis lets you keep the email address for
They
a little while?
do, for a
Very
little
good.
while.
You know, I taught there for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you taught a bunch of places. I was reading
I-
about
All
it.
right, we're
sure
bringing
did.
him back. 'Cause he's not leaving.
No, I was teaching a couple of math classes there.
Oh, man, I need to improve my math skills.
You want to hear something funny?
What?
Because I also teach at the Harvard Extension School, and I had a student, in my class, and I think I do a pretty good job in my Extension School class. And it turns out his mother was the chair of the math department at Brandeis. And then they needed somebody to, somebody went on leave or whatever, and they really needed somebody to do that. And so he was at home and he said, oh, he must have said something like, well, we need to get somebody to do that. And so guess what? Her son says, why don't you get Robert to do that? So I actually got my job at Brandeis through the recommendation of one of my students.
That's wonderful.
So, you never know when, manna shall fall from heaven. So,
All right, we're going to let you go out and campaign because you need every single number one vote you can get.
Absolutely.
Again, thank you so
So-
much.
great having you.
Thank you.
We are really happy to have you here.
Appreciate it.
All right.
All right, so now what are we doing, Robert? Hold on one second. What are we doing here? Let me put up the page of all the people running for school committee.
And then
And so there are, how many seats are on the school committee, Robert?
we've got 6 seats, and we've got 9 people fighting over them.
So we have running Fran Cronin, right here, from Kimball Lane in Cambridge, 02140.
It's all about the zip codes, right?
Well, it's some way to picture the thing.
Absolutely.
We have Fred Fantini.
Right, who just sent me this update here last night, so this is hot off the press from
What did he
Freddie.
say?
No, he just
he
updating
updated your-
information
what
on
your-
the candidate pages.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And then we also have Joyce Gerber.
Joyce Gerber, who perhaps we'll see today
Yep, she's at Fairfield Street, 02140.
in North Cambridge.
And we have Richard Harding from Windsor Street, 02139. He is an incumbent. Oh, Fred Fantini is also an incumbent. John Holland, who ran last term,
Yes, he did.
from Normandy Terrace in 02138.
I guess what's that neighborhood called? Is that Strawberry Hill or Cambridge Highlands? I think it's something like that.
Yep.
I always mess up those far western villages of Cambridge.
And then we have Elechi, who you just met, and Kathleen Kelly from Marie Avenue in 02139.
The greatest zip code in the world, I might add.
No. Patty Nolan, who just walked in, and we're going to introduce her in a second. And Mervyn Osborne, who is another incumbent, right?
Yes, from
Okay.
02139.
So now, I want to introduce you to, come on in, Patty Nolan. Patty Nolan is here, live.
Live!
Yay!
Live! Do something lively, Patty.
All right, we're here, number one, Patty Nolan. Oh yeah, we need to liven up, because you know what? Sometimes I was like, CCTV video is really staid. I
Yeah,
make
yeah.
the case. I'm
There you go.
unbelievably serious and analytical, but sometimes.
Did she just say we were stayed?
No,
she did.
my
think
video
she
on
did.
CCTV was stayed. If
Okay.
you look at it, it's pretty staid. But as I just said to someone, Emma Goldman, I asked the
Yeah.
historical reference. They had never heard of Emma Goldman. Maybe I'm too old.
Statue of Liberty.
Okay.
If I can't dance to it,
So-
it's not my revolution.
Yeah.
Patty here.
Okay. Hello.
She is on the school committee currently, so you can ask her questions about what's currently happening on the school committee. And she's also a candidate because she wants to stay on the school committee. Our phone number is 617-876-0055. If you want to ask her any questions, she's here. In the meantime, we're going to talk to her And we're gonna try not to be stayed.
I was the one who was stayed. You two are not stayed. We can say a
That's
lot
okay.
about each of you.
We haven't danced
Stayed.
on camera yet, so you beat us.
Yeah,
No doubt about
what you
it.
said about some of the CCTV videos is that there was, I'm not going to say who, but there was one candidate who said, I don't really like my video. Could you please take the link off, please? I said, okay.
Wow.
Well,
I didn't
sometimes
know.
they're great.
I
Sometimes
liked
they're not
mine,
so
but it
great.
was pretty serious, and I was
Yeah.
like reading the whole time instead of
Really?
talking live. Yes.
Well, you
I get
took-
too nervous, so I
Really?
read my statement. Yeah, believe it or not.
What's this on your shirt here?
Oh, this is my really high tech
Oh, I
button.
remember. This was like refrigerator art from China.
So I said to
right?
someone, I run a low budget campaign, so my buttons are all handmade by my kids or me, or my
nice.
volunteers.
By the way, I was updating the campaign finance report information on the city council candidates this morning, and some of the numbers is getting pretty high.
They're raising a lot of money?
Some of them, yeah.
What's
yeah.
the top one?
It's about-
Not the
it's about
person, the number.
46,000 or something like
Wow.
right now. Yeah.
That's not my budget on school committee. As you know from the Robert Winters website, the cost effectiveness of the votes last time, I was right in there with a pretty cost effective.
That's true.
Spending per
sure
number
were.
one.
Yeah. I'm always impressed when candidates can actually squeeze a maximum amount of efficiency and votes out of a reasonable budget.
Okay, now that we have you, do you want to talk about what you're doing on the school committee now, or do you want to talk about being a candidate and why you want to be on the school committee again? Your choice.
I think
Because people want to know
probably,
both.
Given the nature, I should talk about why I want to continue and I can blend it in.
Good.
So
Go to it.
I think, because the real question is, why would you want to elect someone who's been on for 8 years, right?
You've been on for 8 years?
It's, well, 7 and
So
2
this
quarters.
is your 5th election.
It will be my 5th election, and you have to say, well, does it make sense? And I say, you know what, it really does make sense, because when I look at the span of things that we're doing, it's pretty clear that what I bring to the table is not really represented if I were to leave. And that includes a real focus on, how would I say, accountability, on using data, on being able to synthesize large amounts of data. There's a lot of strengths among all my colleagues. It's just that that's a particular one that I feel, and there's not really many challengers who are able to bring that. And so I'm going to say something about what I've done, and you know me, I'm pretty honest and direct.
Go
I'm
for
also
it.
going to say something that people could use to say, well, then we really shouldn't reelect anyone on school committee. Because one of the things I say to people, you want me there so that I can ask the questions about evaluating our programs, for instance. Because the embarrassing side of it is, we are a year and a half into the restructuring on the innovation agenda. We are only this month looking at finalizing an accountability plan for assessing how it's going. Honestly, in almost any other industry, you would have done that before you did the restructuring. And we should have, so that I own. And that's why, I mean, it is somewhat, I have to own it because I'm on school committee, and we launched this restructuring and we didn't even have the measures by which we were going to assess whether it works in place. However, the reason I should stay on is the only reason we're having this meeting this month about it is because I, along with my colleagues, but have really almost every meeting said, when's our accountability measures
brought
going
it
to be
to light.
done? When are we going to be doing this? Asked, once we asked 7 or 8 times, it is now happening. And that's an example both of what I did in the past, what I hope to do in the future. And it's not about undoing things, it's really about how can we know how to improve it? It has not gone as smoothly as we wanted. There's some positives and some challenges. If we don't identify those challenges, we're not going to make good on the promises of having it be better than what we had before. 'Cause
I mean, at this point, we may not be data rich, but we're sort of anecdotal. There's some anecdotes do come out, and I've heard a little bit here and there. But are there any particular things that you've heard as particular concerns about how this first year of Innovation Agenda has played out?
Yes, I think the challenge is we started 4 new schools, and Amigos upper grades was also somewhat new because it was somewhat of a restructuring. And we had leaders who didn't have a lot of experience running schools, so of course that's a greater challenge.
Sure.
So the concerns I've heard are, one is about discipline. And I talk to students and they say, it felt like you go into middle school and there's too much emphasis on, okay, you're in middle school and here's the 16 things that you have to do in order to make sure that you stay in line. Oh, and by the way, we want you to be engaged in learning. It's like, even if we just flip that and said, we really want you to be engaged in learning, we're totally excited you're here, and by the way, here's the rules that we need to make sure that everybody gets that. That's the kind of thing. So I've heard a lot about just a culture in the school.
Sure.
The other thing I've heard about, and again, this is a disappointment, is we promised everybody we build on best practice.
Right.
And we didn't even really identify best practice. So you can't build on it if you don't really identify it. And unfortunately, in my view, some of the best practices across the city of kids who were truly engaged in learning, felt like they were doing critical thinking, instead of that being spread to more, we no longer have that, but it hasn't been spread anywhere because we didn't really document it. So that's a concern, and that goes in the category of kind of rigor.
Was that, I have this great privilege of being somewhat naive about a lot of
Yeah.
school committees, so I can ask dopey
Anything you
questions
want.
without fear, right? But were you just sort of referring to the, what was it called, the intensive studies program, which sort of got dismantled, and I remember hearing in some of the committee meetings that whatever was really good about that, they were going to try and spread that around to all
That's
the other
the ISP,
programs.
right?
The ISP,
Right.
yeah. ISP
Well,
program.
that's part of it, and also, frankly, again, there's some issues with test scores, but you know what? The humanities programs at two of the multi-grade schools, the Grand Parks and King Open, was highly regarded, and yet that's something that disappeared. We no longer even allow teachers to really teach social studies and English together. A lot of kids at the high school, I heard anecdotally, teachers at the high school thought those were programs that helped kids learn to think critically. Now, there's some concern that maybe it wasn't for all kids. My feeling is, well then, still let's build on best practice. The ISP is interesting because, I'm gonna go out on a limb here,
There you go.
on your favorite subject,
Okay.
math.
Yeah. How did I know that?
Hey, I like math.
Yeah.
I'm
Not
not
as
sure if
much
it's your
as-
favorite subject.
No, it's
though.
not.
Okay.
Okay.
I never
So,
understand fractions.
that was another thing that we're revisiting our policy. We passed a policy that forbid us from leveling classes in math.
I remember.
And I voted against it, not because I'm the tracking
What does
queen.
that mean?
So what
does
this
that mean?
means, here's how I
And
think
hold
it
on,
means.
before,
Okay.
876-0051,
Anybody
617-876-0055. Don't call 51 because they'll get upset.
Yeah,
Okay,
Okay.
back to what that means.
So an example of the concerns we've heard
Right.
is we passed a policy that said, we want all kids in heterogeneous classes. I think everybody, that would be the goal, but only if you can teach that. And in my view, what we did was we said, okay, teachers, you're not allowed to have different levels. So you're not allowed to say, well, Susanna gets math quickly, we're going to put her in this group.
Right.
Robert is super fast, we're going to put her in this group, and Patty is
You
slow, so
can't
we're
do
going to put her in this group.
Or didn't
Right.
get what she needed to reach
Right,
this
and,
level.
and
Right.
for me, it's not about ability; it's about preparedness.
Right,
It's
exactly.
even if you're super fast, it's probably it's ability, but it's also really your preparedness. You're ready for it.
Right.
Right.
So what we did was say, no, that's not fair because it puts these kids on a track to lifelong, drudgery or something. My view is what we're really doing is we have this range, it's this wide, and we're saying to teachers, here, this impossible task. You need to teach this range of kids with no one else in the classroom in the same class.
And you have to know how to do it.
And you have to know how to do it
Right.
and be good at it. It's
And you
a
have
it's a
to-
gift.
it's a skill.
Teachers tell us after maybe 6 or 8 years they can effectively differentiate.
Yeah.
That was my biggest concern at the time that policy was
Well,
passed.
you'll be happy
Yeah.
now. We're revisiting it
Right.
because it didn't work last year for the 8th grade. It really just didn't work. And again, for me, this is, well, if we do this, which I'm in favor of, let's have different classes. However, if I need 10 hours a week of math to get to the same place, it's not that I'm dumb. I just need more time. And you can get it in 5. We're giving both of us 7 hours. The equivalent, that's the analogy.
Right.
So you are bored part of the time. I am still struggling because I don't have enough time. And yet we're both in this class. And you, the teacher, have an
Oh,
impossible task.
yeah.
We're revisiting that. And what I'm saying is we'll revisit it. We can have an accelerated pathway and not accelerated pathway. But let's set specific goals so that 5 years from now, 80% of our kids are on the accelerated pathway by giving them more preparedness if they need more time. So that's an example.
Now, why
of what
would
didn't
people
go
not
well.
want that? What's the
Honestly,
reason against it?
Again, go out on a limb. The reason is that you're telling kids you're the dumb slow class, but if you're behind, and I feel like
So
you know
don't
what?
you need to acknowledge if you have issues that you have to fix them?
Yeah, I mean, and we do it in
I mean, it's just a
literacy.
que-
We do it in literacy. If I can't read, I'm not in the same reading group as you.
Oh, you do it in other classes?
We do it in the lower grades. We have different level groups. But again, the idea is let's catch people up.
Right.
So the reason against it, in my view, and this is biased, is we think that it's better, and yet again, our own data, our teachers are telling us it's hard. And you know what's most interesting to me? I think you were at that meeting. The student school committee reps did a survey of high school students, and it was a broad range. It included honors, some kids in honors, some kids not in honors, and said, well, looking back, when you were in middle school, would you have liked to have honors classes? This is around the ISP discussion. Turns out 75% of those high school students said, I would have liked to have honors classes in math. And actually about half of them would have liked them in all subjects. And I take that to mean these kids know. Kids know what they need. And even if kids who aren't on the accelerated path, they understand that they need it. But we're not listening to them. I think it's a little bit of PC, political correctness, I think, but I think it comes from the heart, that people really believe it's better for those
absolutely.
kids. I just,
Absolutely.
again, I look at our own data and I look at some of the other districts around the country. I will say though, you know, we have classes that are, you go into one class and you can look it's almost certainly going to be socioeconomic, you know, the low income kids, the black kids, the brown kids, we don't have a true mix at the high school. But again, instead of taking away that option, I feel like, well, then we got to fix it earlier. We got to go back and find out why those kids aren't choosing those classes.
So our show is going to end in about a minute, and we were wondering if you'd be willing to stay for the very beginning of our next show and continue this conversation.
Sure, when is it?
It's in 3 minutes.
I think I could stay.
I think that's just great, yeah. Let's see, there was, the one thing I think when, you know, at that meeting when the policy was established a year ago, the one thing that infuriated me more than anything was that I said, so you're going to lay down a policy from the school committee, and I just said, well, what if the actual professionals, the teachers in the classroom, they evaluated their situation and they came to the conclusion that they needed to do something a little bit differently? Are you going to tell them they can't? That's what bothered me as a teacher, is that, you know, that an administrator or a school committee member would somehow say, you know, you're not allowed to do your job this way because we know better than you.
That's why I was
Didn't
the only
sit
one who
well.
voted against it, Robert.
Right.
I listened to you on that one.
All right. Now I think we have four incumbents seeking re-election this time. 2 open seats, so it's a pretty wide open.
6 open seats.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
6 open.
How can I not know this?
How can you not know
No,
this?
I mean, it's ridiculous. That's right. 6 open seats.
All right, on that note, we're about to sign out, but we'll be back in 3 minutes, and we will continue with our special guest for a little bit. Our phone number is 617-877